Traditionally, we do this Vedic chanting. Nakarmana na prajaya danena tyage neke amrutatvamana. Our Guruji used to say, you all chant this Nakarmana na prajaya danena tyagena eke amrutatvamana, which means not by action, not by any activity, not by any progeny, na prajaya, and na danena, not by wealth. Only by Tyaga, one can reach the immortality. And he would say, as soon as I settle down, people asked, when I asked them, how is the center doing? How is the Chinmaya mission here doing? Swamiji, nobody is actually interested in any activity. In many typical centers, small centers. And not many people are coming. Swamiji, our financial situation is also okay only. That means what? Na karmana, na prajaya, na danena. So he says, very good, no? Tyagena eke amrutatvamana. It's easy for you. So the word Tyaga is used in many places in the Upanishad, especially as it is said here, Tyagena eke. So the na should go with everything. Na karmana, na prajaya, na danena. Otherwise, what will happen? Danena. Because na is not there. So it should be na danena also. Na danena tyagena eke. Tyagena eke. Only by, it is said. Then another place, in the same mantra, you will see, Parena nakam nihitam guhayam vibhrajate yat yatayo vishanti vedanta vijnana sunischitartha sannyasa yogat yataya shuddha sattva te brahma lokeshu. So, there the sannyasa word is also used. In the 18th chapter of Bhagavad-Gita, when Bhagavan is concluding his talks, his advice to Arjuna, Arjuna asked this question, I want to know, Sannyasastu mahabaho tattvamichhami veditum tyagascha cha rishikesha. And I want to know both tattvam of what is sannyasa and what is tyaga. And what is the difference between these two? So this is what the main subject of 18th chapter. So that is said, Tyaaga-samnyaasa yoga is the 18th chapter, last chapter. So this is the first name we take, Tyaaga-samnyaasa-tattva-darshikaayai Namah. So we are already in the 18th chapter now. So here, what is Tyaga and what is Sannyasa? Bhagavan begins with this. Both look the same, but there is a difference. Tyaga does not require sannyasa, but sannyasa requires tyaga. So, tyaga literally means giving up. So, Bhagavan begins in the Bhagavad-Gita, karma phala tyaga. First, he starts with karma phala tyaga in second chapter itself. Kamyanam karmanam nyasam sannyasam kavayo viduhu sarva karma palatyagam prahutyagam vichakshanaha. In 18th chapter, he begins with that. First he says, Kamyanam karmanam nyasam. The word in Sanskrit, as to throw. As means to throw. Astra. Astra is that weapon which released from your hand. It's called astra. Atra means to release or to cross through trayate. By throwing, it goes away from you. It's called astra. When you hold it in the hand and fight, it's called shastra. Now, the word sannyasa means ni plus as. Nyas. Nyasate. Meaning, nischayena. Giving up for good. That's called nyasa. Karanyasa, when you do, during just before the puja, you do karanyasa. And when you have added some also to that, two prefixes are put. Samyak nischayena asate. Sannyasa. Sannyas. Sannyasa means very, and for, so very well for good. Giving up. That's called sannyasa. And traditionally, sannyasa is said to be the fourth stage of life. Brahmacharya, grihastha-ashrama, vanaprastha, and then sannyasa. By the time the person has become mature enough to understand the temporariness of things, and that out of that maturity, he does not have any more interest in doing anything. Not that he's tired or physically old, not necessary. That is why Bhagavan Shankaracharya changed the tradition, saying that if a person is able to, by knowledge, understand the impermanence of things, then from Brahmacharya, he need not go to Grihastha-ashram and then Vanaprastha. He can directly get into sannyasa, which is a tradition which was not there before, which he created more or less on the footsteps of Buddha. So that's why some people call him a pseudo-Buddha also, because he changed the tradition. So that means sannyasa prerequisite is knowledge. Either for knowledge or out of knowledge. When a person takes up sannyas for the sake of exclusively studying and contemplating and leading a way to enhance the knowledge, etc., it is called vividisha sannyasa. Vividisha means vetum ichcha. Vividisha. To know. Ichcha means to desire. Vetum ichcha. To know, to desire to know. So for desire to pursue a particular scriptural knowledge, whereby one can exclusively engage in that only and nothing else, that like for us, we are given vividisha sannyas. Meaning, after we finished the brahmacharya and then having lived for a while, then the guru or the head of the mission comes to understand this person has complete interest in continuing in this only, nothing else. So, vividisha sannyasa is given. That's why Gurudev would say your only job that you have to do or only thing that you engage is swadhyaya pravachan. Swadhyaya, self-study and sharing that knowledge, by which you keep enhancing your knowledge. That is vividisha sannyas. Whereas people who have gained the knowledge and then take the sannyas, that's called vidvat sannyasa. Vidvat sannyasa means having gained the knowledge, that was the original, tradition. Vidvat sannyasa, the original tradition, where the person has gone through many experiences in life and finally he has taken to the knowledge or go into a guru and then learned, and then the guru then offers him vidvat sannyas. Sometimes the guru need not be there. They themselves take the vidvat sannyas. Like Ramana Maharshi, for example. He did not have a guru to give him. He took it himself. And our Sri Swami Tapovanam also is taken to sannyas, vidvat sannyasa. Many great masters have done it. They might not be even wearing the ochre robe also, but they have taken to sannyas, vidvat sannyasa. So these are the main points. That is, sannyasa is necessarily associated with knowledge. And because the knowledge has come in, That person no more engages in desire-prompted activities. Anything he or she does is not prompted by any desire of one's own. So therefore he says, Kamyanam karmanam nyasam. Kamyanam karmanam nyasam. Meaning, renunciation of all desire-created actions. There were 4 kinds of actions that are spoken in our Vedanta. That is Nitya Karma, Naimittika Karma, Kamya Karma, Nishiddha Karma. Nitya Karma prescribed by the scriptures has to be done every day by a person. Anybody, any human being has to do it. That will be Yajna Dana Tapa Karma will come. Then Naimittika is when the situation arises. Then Nishiddha is what should not be done. Nitya, Naimittika, Nishiddha. And then Kamya is what is done out of one's personal desire. So one who has understood Artha and Kama does not lead to immortality. Kamya tata, Kamya means Kamya Karma or Artha Sanjayanam does not lead to Amritatvam. One who has understood this, he removes from his life any pursuit of Artha Prapti, any pursuit of Kama Bhoga. These two are removed. So basically his actions are dharmic, only meant for moksha. So therefore Bhagavan defines sannyasa as kamyanam karmanam nyasam sannyasam kavayo viduhu. Kavayo vidu means men of knowledge, they know. Okay. Now all people are not ready for it. Right? As I said in the beginning itself, not everybody can directly go into that because they have not necessarily because they want, but prarabdha pushes them to engage in the grahasthashram and various other things. So what is the way for them? How do they prepare themselves for the 4th stage? So Bhagavan says, Tyaga. Tyaga is therefore sarva karma phala tyagam prahustyahum vichakshanaha. Vichakshanaha viveka purushaha, vivekinaha. Viveki purushaha, viveka purushaha, those who have gained the correct understanding, they say karma phala tyagam iti. Meaning, you do actions, but do not become anxious about your results of action. In some places, Bhagavan equates both. Sannyasa palam, tyaga palam, ekameva. In 12th chapter, he does that. That if a person has given up the kamya karma, who is a sannyasin, and one who is giving up the result of action, more or less the same category. Why? Because unless you have no desire for the result, you would not give up the desire. That means you don't have a desire. Therefore, you have given up the action. So he equates that. But here he distinguishes them as sannyasa and tyaga are different. Sannyasa is out of knowledge. Tyaga is a preparation for that. So this is why it is that question by Arjuna is directly answered. But then he elaborates on this point that what is that? First of all, who can renounce and who cannot? Who is capable of taking up sannyas and who cannot do that? Nahi deha brita shakyam taktum karmanya sheshata yastu karma phala tyagi satyakitya vidhiyate. Nahi deha brita shakyam taktum karmani asheshata. Karma sannyasa will not take place unless you have realization, I'm not the body. Because anybody who has the idea that I'm the body cannot but act. Whether it is Nitya Karma, Naimitya Karma or any other karma also, one cannot but act. Bhagavan, very many places he says, Even in chapter 12, he says, it is so hard for a person to meditate upon the formless if he is feeling himself identified with the body. Kleshaha adhikatarastesham avyaktasakta chetasam avyakta hi gadir duktam dehavadbir avapyate. Dehavadbihi dukkhena apyate. Dukkam apyate. So, renunciation is not possible for a person who still thinks he is an individual. Nahi deha brada chakyam tyaktum karmani asheshata. Therefore, the way to renounce is through tyaga. So, therefore, he says, do action as an individual, but give up the results. That's why he says, yaha tu karma phalatyagi satyagi tibidiyate. Karma phal ko tyag karo. That is what is the method or the means or the steps towards that. Sometimes it is whole life will be gone, but we will not be able to really become eligible for sannyas. Doesn't matter. You have already started. Because how many of us feel so connected to our body, and then we get very. Body here does not mean only physical body, huh? Mind is also a form of the body only. Thoughts are also body only. Does not have physical form. So my thought is not accepted by you. That is identification. My emotions are not felt by you. Identification. My opinions are not accepted by you. That is also identification. So most of our problems are because somebody doesn't accept what I say or what I do, what I think. We don't have physical fight. Huh? Don't we do fight? Anyway, your children are learning taekwondo and karate, and I don't have an idea why it has to be done. Because you're not going to fight with anybody with a stone in front of you. I'm going to cut you, and then they'll show you, I'm going to cut you like this. So, why are we learning physical fight? First of all, stop the mental fight. That is most of the problems are there only. Right? Are you fist fighting with your wife? No, I hope not. So one person asked his neighbor that very often I hear one neighbor in India, another flat system. So from one flat to another, you can hear everything more or less. He said that I often hear you laughing very loudly or your wife laughing very loudly. Sometimes, both of you laugh very loudly. What is going on there? He said, that is when we are fighting. So what do you mean by that? When you're fighting or laughing? No, the point is, when she is upset, she throws things at me. I dodge and I laugh. When I am upset, I throw things at her and she dodges and laughs. So that's why you hear. Before the marriage, he talks and she hears. After the marriage, she talks and he hears. He cannot help it. After some time, they both talk, nobody hears. Anyway, why should I bother about that? Anyway, coming to the point here, what's the point? Why the doesn't think him? Identifying. So strong identification with your thoughts, your ideas, your opinions. That is where our problem is. Fist fight we don't do. So now he classifies the Tyaga into three parts. Tyaga or giving up, letting go, in other words. Sannyasa is leaving aside. Tyaga is letting go. Let me give you an example. I often ask this question to people. When do you actually let go? Anything. When do you actually let go? When you have faith in somebody higher than you. Otherwise, you cannot let go. Is it not? I am ready to let go of my concern or worries about my son or my daughter. When do you do that? Either you have confidence in that person, that he or she is capable of handling himself, or somebody is taking care of it. Without that, you cannot let go. So now this is very important. One who has a faith in something higher and therefore he is able to give up is sattvic person. So he says, Karyam ityeva yat karma niyatam kriyate arjuna sangam tyaktva phalam chaiva satyaga satviko matah. Karyam ityeva yat karma niyatam kriyate arjuna, meaning he does actions which are supposed to be done by him. Niyatam karma. Two meanings are there for niyatam. Niyatam means pradidinam, sada. Niyatam also means kartavyam. So niyata, the word, is what is ordained, what is being instructed for you to do. This is one meaning. Niyata also means sada, but in this context it is karyam. So there are, I often make this difference very clear to people. When you say duties and responsibilities, there are two terms. They are not the same. Duty is what is given to you. Responsibility is what you have taken. So, as a parent, being a parent is a duty or responsibility. If you think it is a duty, it will be a burden. What to do? उसको मैंने पैदा किया, मुझे करना ही होगा. So then it is a duty, meaning it's like a burden. Somebody has told you to do so. Whereas you say, it is my responsibility. I got married, I got my children, it is my responsibility. I cannot give it to somebody else. Similarly, we need to decide what is my responsibility. That is called niyatam karma. Karyam ityeva yat karma niyatam kriyate arjuna. So even a person who is a tyagi cannot but do his work. He has to do it. Meaning it is his responsibility. But at the same time, what? Sangam tyaktva phalam chaiva. He does not associate himself as I am the doer. Nor does he become anxious about the result. Such an attitude is called sattvika tyaga. I'm not doing it for my own sake, and it is not that I'm going to wait for the result. It is meant for, the higher one, the Lord, who has the responsibility to take care of it. I have done my best. Gurudev used to say, do the best, leave the rest. And take rest. Sangam tyaktva phalam chaiva, that satyagaha satvikaha. Now, who cannot give up that way? Who cannot let go? Who takes this as a duty, not as a responsibility? Therefore, dukkam ityeva yat karma. When it comes to duty, it is like a burden. Karna hi hoga, kya kare? If that way you drag yourself, dukkam ityeva yat karma. And sometimes you may not do it also because it is not that you wanted to do. It is not you have understood the responsibility. Therefore, sometimes you, given a chance, you don't do it. Like volunteering. Somebody else is doing, chalo, what my problem is not that. Dukkam ityeva. Kaya klesha bhayat tyajet. Because it requires the physical strain, because of that, the pain will be there, the strain will be there, the body, therefore I don't want to do it. Kaya klesha bhayat tyajet. He gives up out of the possible pain attached to that action. Sakritva rajasam tyagam naiva karma phalam labet. So, such a person who gives up the action because of the possible physical strain, etc., that kind of a tyaga is rajasika, and such a tyaga has no phalam. Phalam means he does not get the real result or fruit of that tyaga. What is the result of any tyaga? Mental peace. Anything tyage amrutatva manushu. Before that, it is chitta shuddhi, purity of mind, calmness of the mind, anxiety-free mind, restful mind. That is gained only when you do it, but not be anxious of the result and the doership. But this person does not do, but he does not get the mental rest. Why? Do you know why? Because even as you give up, but you are still attached to the result. The mind is still working on that. I gave up, but it will happen or not. Faith is not there. So that na tyaga phalam labet. He does not get the result of tyaga. This is rajasic. Tamasic tyaga is what? Niyatastu sannyasah karmano nopapadyate. What is to be done by you, you cannot give up. Niyatastu sannyasah. Niyatasya tu sannyasah. At no time you should give up. Karmano nopapadyate mohat tasya parityagah. Out of delusion, out of laziness, when you give up, tat tamasa parikirtitah. That is called tamasic. Tamasic is where one becomes lazy, postpones. When Gurudev said Dirgha Sutri, aaj nahi kal karunga. He never does that. So it's always postponing. And that kind of a giving up, but because of moha, delusion, or out of laziness, because tamas includes laziness, sleepiness, inadvertence, erroneousness, lethargy, and then what do you call that? Procrastination. These are all that category. That is called tamasic tyaga. Now, further Bhagavan says, any action you do, there is result. The result is depending upon the kind of action you do. Anishtam ishtam mishram cha trividam karmana phalam. There are three results that come out of actions. Anishtam, undesirable. Ishtam, desirable. Mishram, mixer. Karmana phalam pavat atyaginam pretya natu sannyasinam kvachit. Atyaginam, for those who do not do tyaga, definitely these results will come. Not for a sannyasin ever. Now here again he makes a difference between tyagi and a sannyasi. Now, karma phala tyagi, a person who gives up the result of action and thereby he gets a mental purity and rest, but not yet gain knowledge, will not be released from the result of action, but he will be probably is given the opportunity to further proceed on to the path of knowledge after he leaves the body. Whereas in the case of a sannyasin who has taken to renunciation and gained the knowledge and realized himself who he is, for him, the result of action will not come even now, in this life itself. Not to sannyasinam, and he puts a kvachit at all. That's it. So, pretya atyaginam na. For atyaginam, pretya sambhavati eva. But tyaginam sambhavati Not Tyagis will get the moksha upon leaving the body, whereas sannyasin gets the result right there itself. Meaning, he will not be affected by his actions in this very life itself. And 2 days back, I was giving the talk on how Hanumanji, very interesting part. Hanumanji was, Indrajit had released the Brahmastra on him in Valmiki Ramayana. Indrajit has released the Brahmastra. Even though Hanumanji knows that this Brahmastra is released on him, Brahmastra is not a missile. What it does is it binds the person. It just holds the person inactive. So he gets inactive. But he was given the boon by Brahma himself that this particular Brahmastra released on him by Indrajit does not hold him for more than an hour. So, and he, out of his reverence and respect for Brahma, he says, okay, let me abide by that. So he keeps quiet. Indrajit was feeling very elated. I got hold of this fellow because he's killed quite a bit of people. So he became motionless. And the Rakshasas who were there around him, they wanted to take him to Ravana. And they took the bark of a tree or made rope out of the tree barks, etc., and tied him. The problem is that the Brahmastra will not work if you tie with anything else. If you tie the person who is under, see, it's like, what is that called? That teaser, what is it? Teaser, you know? It's the same thing. Brahmastra is like that. But the point is, here, when he is tied up with anything else, the original Brahmastra effect will go away. And they didn't know that. They tried to tie him. They tied him. And he got released from Brahmastra. Now you tie him. He can easily get out of it, but he won't. He's allowing him to be dragged because he wanted to meet Ravana. But Indrajit comes to see this. These foolish fellows, why did they tie him? I took all the effort to put Brahmastra on him. And these fellows have tied him. He got released. He knows that. And yet, he's allowing himself to be tied and taken away. So he really admires Hanuman. This fellow is really a piece of art here. Now the point is this. I was relating that point to the Mahatmas. Mahatmas live in this world even after realization due to the bondage of prarabdha. As far as they are concerned, they can get out any time, but they do not because they allow the prarabdha to work. Our Gurudev, for example, he allowed the prarabdha, okay, it's okay, let it go on. So long as Bhagavan wants me, I will be alive. That's all it is. After that, I don't have any reason to be. And interesting thing is, so they allow themselves to be in this world. And anybody who is, so his prarabdha is going on. But what he did in this life, which will have to have result in this life, does not affect him. See, if the result is coming next to life, that obviously is going to go, because that's why it says, Anishtam mishram cha tribidam karmana phalam pretya atyaginam. Pavati atyaginam pretya natu sannyasinam kochit. It does not affect the sannyasin at all. Even if the result were to come in this life, it won't come to him. So it is said in one of the texts called Tattva-bodha. So the prarabdha, the karma done by, this is called agami karma. Karma done by the sannyasin in this life, whom does it go to? He won't receive it. He doesn't take it. So it is said, those who serve him and praise him or respect him and adore him or listen to him or serve him as his disciples and devotees, to them it will go. And those who are insulting him and other things. If he has done any mistake in this life, it will go to them. It's an interesting thing. Because you won't take it. So those who are, he won't himself direct it, but it goes to them. In the same way here, anishtam ishtam mishram cha tribidam karmana phalam. One interesting point Madhusudana Saraswati, one of the commentators make on this particular verse is, karmanaha means of the action. Phalam, karmanaha phalam. He says, it's not in plural. Anishtam ishtam mishram cha karmana phalam. So what it means is, anishta karmana phalam, ishta karmana phalam, mishra karmana phalam, iti trividam. Not the same action gives three results. Anishta karmanaha anishta phalam. Ishta karmanaha ishta phalam. Mishra karmanaha mishra phalam. So what is anishta karmanaha phalam? If the action is itself is not a desirable act, meaning it is nishiddha karma, anishta means nishiddha karma. Nishiddha karmanaha phalam naraga prapti, mooda yoni prapti. Meaning obtainment of hell or obtainment of the birth in the lower forms. Because the action itself is anishta. Ishtaphala shishta karmanaha phalam devaloka prapti or deva deha prapti. So it is either the swarga prapti or the obtainment of swarga or obtainment of a divine body. Mishra karmana phalam manushya janma. Because it is both papa and punya together there. This will not happen to a person who is a tyagi. After he leaves the physical body, he will become eligible for Brahma Loka Prapti. That's why we chanted Sannyasa Yogat Yataya Shuddha Sattvaha Te Brahma Lokeshu Parantakale. Parantakale means Deha Padana Urdhvam. Deha Padana Urdhvam, after the end of the body. Parantakale, Paramrutat, due to the fact that it is Amrita, Parimuchanti Sarve. That's what it said. They go to Brahmaloka, and then there they gain the knowledge. Whereas a sannyasin does not go anywhere. Who has gained the Atma Jnanam in this life itself, for him there is no result. That's why he said Sannas Sannyasinam Kochit. Not at all for him. Meaning, wherever that sannyasin or the Mahatma leaves the physical body, the subtle body does not proceed any further. Neither it go to Swarga or any other place, nor he will get a rebirth. And therefore, he merges with the Brahman there and then. Therefore, natu kanyasinam kochit. And interestingly, Shankaracharya points out here, the very word phalam itself is a very beautifully he explains. What is phalam? He says, phalam is none other than faltu. Falgutaya layam adarshanam gacchati iti phalam. Fa means falgutaya. Falgut means it is very limited, insignificant. What we call in Hindi mein faltu. Faltu baat bhi kya hai? Useless. It's useless in this case. In the case, it is limited, insignificant. Falgutaya layam gacchati. Layam gacchati, adarshanam gacchati. Layam gacchati means was it disappears or it cannot be seen anymore. Meaning what? Any result of any action is only temporary. It's there and after that it disappears. Therefore, a sannyasin does not engage in any action for temporary results. That is the reason why it doesn't affect him, nor it will ever be done by him with that purpose. So that is why Ramana Maharshi says, Phalamashashvatam Gati Nirodhakam. Isn't it? One who is thinking about results and engaging in action, ashashvatam phalam. Because karma itself is limited. Karturajñaya prapyate phalam. Karma kim param, karma tajjadam, kriti mahodado, patana karanam, phalam ashashvatam, gadi nirodhakam. So even if you could take a fruit from a tree directly, not a store-bought, how long it will stay on your table? After some time, it will start shrinking, gone. So that is the nature of any result. It won't stay for too long. So knowing that an individual will not engage for the sake of phalam, which is ashashvatam, and a sannyasi, therefore, the sannyasinam kvachit. This is how he gives the topic of what is sannyasa, what is tyaga. Now he brings up the next topic, yajna dana tapaswarupa bodhinyai namaha. It is said, Bhagavan Krishna says, three things cannot be given up by anybody. Yajna, dana, and tapa. Tyajam doshavadityeke karma prahurmanishinaha yajna dana tapa karma natyajam idi chapare. Some people say, Bhagavan Krishna here points out, some men of knowledge would say, every action is a dosha. Tyajam doshavatityeke karma prahurmanishinaha. Action by itself, by nature, is a defect. Some people hold the view, ajnanam vina karma na sambhavati. Ajnanateva karma. Action is born out of ignorance. Why? Because ajnanam gives rise to kama, kama gives rise to karma. Therefore, no karma is without a defect. In fact, in another place, Bhagavan clearly says, like every action is some amount of defect is there. Like that of every fire has got smoke. Isn't it? There is no place where you have a fire without a smoke. Some amount of smoke will be there. In the same way, all actions have got some defect. Therefore, no action is perfect. There is always, so it should be completely given up. Some people say that, but here Bhagavan Krishna brings yajnadana tapa karma natyajyam. Gurudev holds this view that yajna, that is performance of action in the attitude of sacrifice, any action. Danam, meaning sharing to the people in the form of charity, and tapaha, personal austerity. This should not be ever given up, even if the person has taken to sannyas. Because he is of the view, Bhagavan, our Gurudev is of the view, a sannyasin should not be a parasite in this society. It should not become useless existence. Never. Because when a person, you would say, otherwise he will open the mouth 3 times a day, somebody has to feed him. So, you for what purpose? You must be useful to the world. So, yajnadana tapa karma natyajam karyameva tat yajnodanam tapascheva pavanani manishinam. What do these 3 things do? Yajna, sacrifice, danam, charity, tapaha. I have thought about it, and I think I might have said this in another occasion. In all the 3, there is tyaga involved. In yajna, you are actually, even if you take a ritual, you are offering to gods. Sacrifice to gods. Dhanam, you sacrifice to people. Tapas is sacrifice to your lower being, lower attitudes are offered to the higher. Austerity is always giving up the lower nature, lower values, lower habits into the higher thinking. That is tapas. In all the 3, what is common is to give up. So this will create purity of mind. Therefore, that's why it says, Pavanani manishinam, they are most purifying. Even those actions, etan nyapitu karmani, even yajna dana tapa karma also, sangam tyaktva palani cha. Even that should be done without any feeling I am doing. Sangam tyaktva palani cha, even the phalam. Kartavyadini me partha nischayam matamuttamam, nischyitam matamuttamam. It also should be done as kartavyam, as a responsibility. It is not forced by anybody, but I know it needs to be done for my own purity of mind. So there he says, again, three different categories of yajna, three different categories of tapas, three kinds of tapas, and three kinds of dhanam. That he explains there. Apala kankshivir yajnaha vididrashto ya ijyate. One who is not seeking the result, but according to the norms and rituals or the disciplines prescribed. Vididrashto ya ijyate yashtavyam eva iti manaha samadaya satvikaha. This needs to be done, and this is my responsibility, and I clearly follow the instructions of the scriptures. In this way, when a person does, that is satvik. Other words, abhisandayatu phalam dambartam abhichayvayat. Somebody does looking for a result, and dambartam as a showing off. See, I am doing this yajna. All of you come and take picture of me and put it in the paper or put in the website or Facebook. So that way, ijjade barada sreshta tam yajnam viddhi rajasam. That is rajasic, where an individual purposely doing for a particular result or doing it as a show. So what about the tamas? He says, etan nyapitu karmani, vididhinam asrishtannam mantrahinam atakshinam. A person does vidhihinam, he doesn't follow any of the vidhis. Asrushta annam, he doesn't give the food for the people who are doing. Then mantrahinam, not chanting the mantras properly. And adakshinam, dakshina bhi deta nahi hai. Shraddha virahitam yajnam, where there is no shraddha at all, tat tamasam parichakshate. Typical you will see in the case of marriages. The boy or the girl, no interest at all what mantra is being chanted. Mantrahinam, mantrahin ho gaya usna. And because most of the time it is only the priest getting married all the time. Every time the priest is getting married, not the boy, because he never chants the mantra. What's the point? I give only 45 minutes for the, that is also too much, 45 minutes for this whole ritual. But they spend 6 hours to 10 hours on the dancing. What's called mehendi, dance, sangeet. And the dakshin also, usko dena hai, kichna dena hai. They spend 25,000 for that useless food and dance. To give at least $1,000 to that dakshina? My God. See, that is what it is. Tamasic only. Tamasic. Yes, it's sick only. So Bhagavan says that is not of any use at all. Such kind of yajna is useless. And three kind of tapas. One is Sharira tapas, Vangmaya tapas, and Manasa tapas. He says, Deva Dvija Guru Prajna Pujanam Shaucham Arjavam Brahmacharyam Ahimsa cha Shariram Tapa Uchyate. Tapas is in the form of burning. But the very word tapa means to burn. Tapati iti tapaha. That which is burning. So what is that? Deva Dvija Guru Prajna Pujanam. The worship of personal God, worship of Brahmanas, worship of a Guru, worship of men of wisdom. These pujanam and shaucham, purity, arjavam, being straightforward, not having any hidden agenda, brahmacharyam, self-discipline, ahimsa, non-violence, these are all called shariram tapaha, body-related tapas. Anudvekakaram vakyam satyam priyahitam chayat swadhyayabhyasanam chaiva vangmayam tapa uchyate. At the level of the speech also is these tapas in the form of unexciting words, anudvekakaram vakyam, speaking only what is correct truth, satyam. Even that truth should be spoken with loving words, priyam. And these words also should be spoken only if it is useful. Hitam. Anudvekakaram vakyam, satyam, priya, hitam. And this kind of discipline of words comes only when a person does swadhyaya. Study of scriptures gives the clarity in thinking and speaking. Swadhyaya abhyasanam practice. This is called vangmayam tapaha. Mana prasada saumyatvam maunam atma vinigraham. Nigraha bhava samshuddhirityetat manasam tapa uchyate. Mana prasada, mind in general remaining quiet. Saumyatvam, pleasantness. Then maunam, inner peace. Maunam, atma vinigraham, self-discipline. Bhava samshuddhi, having the pure attitude. These are all mind's tapas of the mind. So this also Bhagavan clarifies. Dhanam is also three kinds. What is that? Datavyamiti yad dhanam diyate nupakarine deshe kale cha patre cha tad dhanam satvikam smrutam. What are the rules for satvik dhanam? Charity everybody does. But that should be done as a gratitude to God. Datavyam iti yad dhanam. देना है तो परिपूर्ण हृदय से भाव से देना है. In the Upanishad also it is said, and Shraddhaya deyam, Ashraddhaya adeyam, Shriya deyam, Hriya deyam, Bhya deyam, Sambhida deyam. Give it with joy, give it with blissfulness, give it with happiness, give it with no hesitation. If you don't have faith, don't give. And where you should give? Deshe kale cha patre cha. You should give it in the right place, at the right time, to the right person. Don't, give it in the wrong place. And I'll tell you that because that is considered as, tamasic. And not expecting anything in return. Anupakarine. There is no expectation out of that. On the other hand, yattu pratyupakarartam palam udyasya vapunah. In return of something already received or expecting something in return, palam udyasya. Diyate cha pariklishtam, and also giving up with this, not half-hearted, quarter-hearted. So with a kind of pariklishtam, with so much of pain, that is considered as rajasam dhanam. Thing is, adesha kale yad dhanam apatrebhyascha diyate. Not giving in the right place or time, or not giving to the right person. Asakrit tvam ajnadam. So, not with having any worshipful attitude also. Tattamasam. Asatkritam, with the false idea. Now, you see, interesting thing is, once I was in one center, which I won't tell you which center it was. So I finished my talk, and at the end of the last day, usually they, offer Guru Dakshina, or at least, fruits and etc. They will say, okay, Swamiji. I mean, I don't demand anything. So that They didn't do also. I said, okay, it doesn't matter. They don't understand. Okay, I left. Next day, early morning, my flight was East Coast. So it's around 5, 6 o'clock is the flight. So by the time we finished the evening talk, etc., by the time I came back to the host place, so close to around 9 o'clock. I said, I'll go to bed. So next morning, I have to get up at 3, 4 o'clock. I have to catch the flight. I went to sleep. And before going to sleep, I told the host, I do not know how you all decided to, I have come all the way from West Coast. So at least you should, do the procedure, usual procedure of Guru Dakshina, etc. There's nothing done. Anyway, so I just probably he forgot. 1 o'clock in the night. Tuck, 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 tuck. I said I was sleeping. It's at 3 o'clock already, 4 o'clock, you have to get up. No, this is the president of Chinmayanandaji local. So what do you want? Swamiji, I forgot to give you the Guru Dakshina. I said, don't worry, you send it by mail. No, I want to give you in a plate of fruits, flowers. When? When I am already in sleeping, wake him up and then give it. This is called Adesha Kala. Not giving in right time or the place. So Upachara has to be done in front of the audience who received the knowledge, not somewhere in the private room. So Adesha Kale Yadhanam Apatrebhyasa. Sometimes we give somebody who doesn't deserve also. So this is called the dhanam that is given, which is tamasic. The last topic that we have is Jnana Karma Karta Swarupa Bodhikaayai Namah. Jnanam is also 3 kinds. Karta is 3 kinds. Karma is 3 kinds. See, knowledge, whatever we gain, is also influenced by the quality of our mind. All are influenced by the quality of mind. The guru or the teacher gives the same knowledge to everyone, but not all of them receive in the same way. Or they do not even understand it in the same way. But even the knowledge itself is the 3 kinds. Now forget about the adhikari. Adhikari is 1 kind, but even knowledge itself is of 3 kinds. Knowledge in general, there is one unifying knowledge, another is divisive knowledge. So Bhagavan here says that knowledge which unifies everyone, that is called sattvic. Sarva bhuteshu enaikam bhavam avyayam ikshate avibhaktam vibhakteshu tadjnanam viddhi sattvikam. Sarva bhuteshu yena ekam bhavyam ikshate. Where a person with the knowledge is able to see the oneness in every being. This knowledge is not taught anywhere except in Vedanta. Where else you will see this? That's why also university is supposed to show the unity in diversity. That is called university. But they only show diversity. So, Sarva bhutesha yenekam bhavam avyayam ikshate avibhaktam vibhakteshu. That which is undivided among the divided. Tat jnanam sattvikam. Upanishad jnanam is sattvic jnanam because it is pointing out to the oneness. That alone will make us remain peaceful in this world. More differences we see, more intolerance, more fighting, and you see the result of that is everywhere nowadays. You see, it's become so much restlessness everywhere because of the knowledge that is taught is divisive. What is rajasic then? Pritaktvenatu yajnanam nana bhavan pratakvidan. Only shows the difference. See, science also classifies, water or the liquid, gas and solid, and see, they want to classify to understand it correctly. The qualities, what is liquid, what is gasic, what is solid, and what is the different chemicals that are there, and what are the qualities of each one of them, only for us to understand. But we stop there and we do not show the oneness. The classification is done. The classification of people and caste and color and creed is more and more divisiveness, more and more distance we create. So, prataktvena tu yajnanam nana bhavan pratakvedan veti sarveshu bhuteshu. In all beings only what is difference that is highlighted. That knowledge is called Rajasic knowledge. Tajnanam vitti rajasam. What is tamasic then? This is the worst category. That is what makes everybody fanatic. Yat krishnavad ekasmin karye saktam ahetukam. One holds on to one's own pet idea and rejects all of them. Yastu krishnavad ekasmin. Krishnavad means complete, everything is included in only one, which I believe. That's what one boss said to his employees, I'm very democratic, just listen to me. Which means what? If you don't accept what I said, then you are in trouble. And then ahaitukam with no logic at all. Atatvartat alpancha. Atatvartavat alpamcha. Which no correct essence and very, very flimsy. That's what makes people fanatic, right? It is either my way or the hit highway. So that kind of fanatic, intolerant, what do you call that? Assertive, obstinate, adamant ideas that are there in minds of the people, that knowledge is called tamasic knowledge. Karma also is of the three kinds. Niyatam sangarahitam aragadveshatakritam apala prepsuna karma tat satvikam uchate. Again, without expecting results for oneself, niyatam sangarahitam aragadveshatakritam, with no attachment or aversion. See, nitya karma, niyata karma should be done with no attachment to the doership or enjoyership. Reason for that is no ragadvesha. You know why? Interestingly, Bhagavan Shankaracharya says, because there is no result. See, when in our Sanatana Dharma tradition, a Brahmana who is initiated into the Yajñopavitam is asked to perform the Nitya Karmas. According to Advaita Vedanta, Nitya Karma does not have any phala. Phal nahi hai. So, there is no result at all. But then why should I do? To keep your mind pure. That is the whole idea.
But if we don't do it...
No, it is not. See, the point is, yeah, you are right in a way. Not doing will result in negativity. That can be argued very well. An action must have a result. Not doing an action does not have any result. Action alone has got result. Non-action, how will have a result? This is stated as non-action have a result only to make the person do it. Not that in reality that logic doesn't work. Not doing, how will it have you tell me? How will have a result? It doesn't matter. But on the other way, indirectly there is a result. What? You will be doing something else. That is how it is. Or the impurities that are there in the mind, which in the absence of not doing, in the absence of doing, will not go away. That is the result. See, if there is a dirt here, if I don't clean it, there is no result. But the dirt will be there. That is the result. So that is why it is. So even Nitya Karma should not be done with Raga Dvesha. Raga comes only when I seeking for the result, which is not going to happen, so you'll get disappointed. Dvesha because, it requires my effort, a waste of time. That means what? You are not going to have Chitta Shuddhi. So, araga dveshata kritam apala prepsuna, without any desire for phalam, when you do it, that is called satvika karma. What is Rajasikam, obviously, yatta kamepsuna karma sa ahankarena va punaha. Doing the action with result wanting for oneself and with the assertion, I am the doer, kriyate bahulayasam. Because the seeking for results itself is a strain. And doing it further strain. Bahulayasam. So having so much of effort. Tat rajasam udahrutam. What is tamasic then? Anubandam kshayam himsam anapeksha cha paurusham mohadarabhyate karma yattat tamasamuchyate. Not thinking about the consequences of one's action. Anubandam. And also how that action may probably hurt the people around. Himsam. Anapeksha. Not thinking about it. Paurushan mabi, whether I am capable of doing that also one doesn't think. Mohadarabhyate, because many times people do just to imitate, just to impress people. Mohadarabhyate, out of delusion a person does. That is called tamasic karma. He cannot do it. He doesn't see the consequences, and it may probably hurt someone, but I have to do it. Why? Because I imitate people around, or I will be seen as a person of action. In this way, a person who does without thinking properly about the effort involved. So the last one is, who's the karta here? Mukta sango naham vadi dhrityutsaha samanvitaha siddhi asiddhayor nirvikaraha karta satvika uchyate. So a person who is a satvik karta, again the same point more or less, mukta sangaha, he is free of any association with the action. Anahamvadi. Even as he completes the action, he doesn't take credit or he doesn't even talk about it. Dhriti utsaha samanvita, determination and enthusiasm. Siddhi asiddhyo nirvikaraha. Whether the result is correctly obtained or if the no result happens at all, there is no change in the mind. So that is Rama is the best example. Previous evening he was told, you are going to be the prince of this whole country. Same, within few hours, get out of this place. No change in his face. He smiled and said, okay. He understands nothing, everything happens for a reason and anything will change anytime. This he was very clear that mind and his face has not gone through any change. Nirvikaraha karta satvika uchyate. On the other hand, ragi karma phala prepsuhu lubdo himsatmako ashuchihi. A person who is a rajasic person, typical Ravana, ragi, not only what you eat, ragi, full of raga, karma phala prepsuhu, seeking intensely results, lubdaha, lobi, greedy, himsatmakaha, hurting people, ashuchihi, unclean, harsha shokanvitaha. When he gets it, he is full of excitement. When he doesn't get, full of grief. Such a karta is rajasic karta. Then tamasic one is ayuktaha, prakritaha, stabdaha, shataha, naishkritikaha, alasaha. Ayuktaha, unprepared. Prakritaha, very gross. Stabdaha, obstinate. Shataha, very, what do you call, inert-like. Usually is alasya. Naishkritihi, not ready to engage in any action unless it is going to help him immediately to satiate his senses. Does it remind you your teenage boys or girls? Definitely it should be that. Naishkriti, alasaha, in general lazy. Bishadi, and depressed most of the time. Bishad. Dirgha Sutri. Ah, that's the best thing. Everything is Kal Karta. Kal Karta. Kal nahi aata hai. Every day you do the same thing. Kal Karta, Kal Karta. Tomorrow you ask, they say Kal Karta. So I am reminded of, some places in India, they put that board, Indru Rokkam Nalai Kadan, meaning today's cash, tomorrow credit. Tomorrow you go, it's the same thing. Today cash, tomorrow credit. Never today. So, Dirgha Sutri, Karta Tamasa Uchyate. So this way, Bhagavad-Gita gives so much of clarity about what is Tyaaga and what is Sannyasa, what is Yajnadana and Tapa, and then also what is Jnanam, what is Karma, and what is Karta, who is Karta. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramayaha, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kasyid Dukkha Bhat Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namah. Hari Om.